Hey everybody, it's been really great like seeing all the talks. I'm really excited to see the rest of them. Before I start, I need to make us a quick warning that I never thought I had to make, but this talk may contain some spoilers for Mandy, Pig, and Will's Wonderland. Very minor things, but I'm gonna be talking about them. And obviously, I might mention some other Nicolas Cage movies because that's somehow related to the talk. You'll see, like most times I do talks, it's to talk about my experience as a designer or like the products of a game. And this talk is weirder because I'm just going to be talking about something more abstract and personal, which is, I guess, like a creative philosophy. Um, Quick presentation. As Joe said, I'm Luis. I also go by Ludipe. I'm a project manager at Thinky Games. I'm on an announced project. I also work as a freelance game designer. I teach classes at university. I organize events. I don't know. I just do things that sound fun and interesting. The address to my webpage is on all the slides in case you want to check out my work. Um, so before I started making puzzle games, I was just like a player, and I started getting interested in game development around these years, 2011 and 2013, more or less. And obviously there were so many different puzzle games. But I think that there was this, and still there is this big trend that puzzle games should look like minimalistic, clean, trim the fat, only include what's necessary, look like very elegant, right? Like, oh, I have this amazing like eureka moment with this amazing level. It's all about that, like I want the player like to be focused on this. There's not really strong narrative. There might be some context, but like if you're not including any text at all, that's even better. That's cleaner. That's more precise. And it's I don't know. I think that most of us when we start making games, we get really excited about this. Like, oh, I want to make things that are like as clean as distilled as this is. Like things that take the essence of the puzzle and reduce it until you have that pure idea, that pure level, that pure eureka moment. It's very smooth and like nothing is rough. It's just like you, the player, this puzzle, you solve it, and then you go to an next. Like it's a very clean, smooth experience, and everything looks, like you just have the necessary information. It looks pretty, but it's not overwhelming you in any way. It's just like the necessary things on the screen. And obviously, it's, like this sort of this group of elements that are working together like a watch. And I think there's also this like mathy logic aesthetic to it. I mean, we have been watching some talks about the math behind the puzzles, and we can't deny that there's this thing where like I don't know, we're associating the math aesthetics with puzzle aesthetics. So this was this was something I really enjoyed about puzzle games, and something that I was very set on making on my own games. Achieving all this like very distilled, very minimalistic, nothing unnecessary experience. And then my taste started changing. And this, again, sort of abstract and hard to explain. And here's where I bring Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, I'm assuming everybody knows that he's like an actor from the States. And for most of his career, like he worked on movies that were like very Hollywood movies. Like you have like things like Living Las Vegas, which is like a very Oscar movie. Things like Face Off, which is your usual like kind of goofy, but also like serious action movie with another celebrity. Some of his movies were decent, good. Some of them like were not as good. But they were like checking all the boxes of what a Hollywood movie should be. And I saw some of these, and I enjoyed them. And I may have recommended one or two of them, but I don't know, they didn't really stick with me. Beyond, I liked it. It was a fine movie. I saw something I liked. We had like a good afternoon. And then Nicolas Cage changed his career, and he started getting more and more into like surreal indie movies. And you have things like Mandy, where like Nicolas Cage is like trying to get revenge on this like cult that has like I don't know, like a gang of demon motorbikers, and there's like a fight with a duel with chainsaws, because why wouldn't you have a duel with chainsaws? And there's this very like raw, intense scene where like Nicolas Cage is all bloody in the bathroom, and he's just like screaming over and over again and drinking alcohol. and it's very raw. It's like, okay, lots of things are happening. You have things like Willy's Wonderland, which is not really a good movie, but it has like a few things where Nicolas Cage is this sort of mute angel that is like fighting evil animatronics possessed by some very like shady criminals, and for some reason during the breaks he's like playing pinball and dancing to it. And you have other things with like Pig is really, really good, where like hey, Nicolas Cage is this sort of, I don't know, person that lives in the woods with his truffle pig, and he lives this quiet life, and suddenly somebody kidnaps his pig, and he goes to a city, and turns out like he's kind of like a John Wick, but as a chef, and he goes to like a fight club where only like people who work in high cuisine restaurants are like allowed to go, and you went to this very surreal world that mixes like a mafia, underground fighting, but also chefs and cooking. And I don't know what's the appropriate like response to this. Like if when you see these things, you're supposed to say like why, or like look confused or whatever. Like my reaction to this was like, yes, I love this. This is amazing. I don't fully understand why. All I know is that I really like this. I don't know. Taking a closer look, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think that what drew me to these things, not just like this Nicolas Cage movie, but a lot of media that follows this trend is like suddenly they were over the top, noisy, weird, but also captivating and memorable. Like I watched Living Las Vegas. I thought it was a nice film. I don't think like I remember it more than once every couple of years, but I think about movies like Pig or Mandy like a lot. They stay with me, and it's not like they have to like. It's unrelated to being good or bad. It's like it's memorable. For some reason, it's sticking to me, and that makes me wonder about like what's interesting about the movie, and that leads me to some interesting internet processes. So how does this translate to making a game? A few years ago, if I was making like, let's think of a simple sokoban that you're making for a game jam or something like that. And a few years ago, if I need a main character for this sokoban that had no narrative, I might say, like a yellow circle seems like a reasonable option. It's clean, it's elegant, it's simple, it's easy to read. Nowadays, I'm more like, well, you know what? If instead of like drawing a perfect circle, like it look like more like this, and what if it had eyes? And what if, I don't know, every time you bump into a wall or something, like your cutter like shoots out like a ghost that they ate in a past life? And what if the ghost like, I don't know, said like tips or like things about the story or something like that? This is uglier than the perfect circle. I'm not like, it's harder to read, it's noisier, but I like this so much more. I don't have like a reasonable, like valid option beyond. I think this is more interesting and more memorable, and this is more aligned with my current like creative interest. Some examples of things I see, like like low-key things I see in current games, like Squeak Across. For those that don't know this game, it's like the usual nonogram or pickers. Released by Nintendo, game where like when you solve puzzles, you have this mouse and you're like getting furniture for the apartment. And it's like it's totally unnecessary for the puzzles, but now I don't want my nonograms in any other shape. Like why aren't you allowing me to decorate my apartment with nonograms? Things like Babushka Glitch Dungeon, which is like a really cool puzzle platformer from this year. Look at the second image, the screenshot. Like some people see that and they're like, "What's happening over there?" Like you can't even tell what's going on. It's all glitchy and unclear. I look at that and I'm like, yes, this is what we should be doing. You look at the Squishcraft and again, like some people might say like, "Why? What are you doing this?" And like I look at Squishcraft and I'm wondering like, why don't we have more Sokoban games like feature like faces and real pictures? That's my real question here. And something very low-key, Dragnet makes amazing puzzle games. They tend to be like super elegant and clean and don't have anything unnecessary. My favorite Dragnet game by far is Good Snowman. It's hard to build. I love the puzzles and all that, but it's because it lets me have the snowman, which I think is something very important. Like again, if they had to like cut down like a bunch of levels at the end in terms of production to enable the resources to make the cutter, give them the chance to hug the snowman. I'm fine with it. Like I sacrifice like a few passes at the end for having the ability to just be able to do something memorable, something different, and something that I find interesting. My brain is like super like programmed to make like minimalistic games, and that's what I kind of started doing. That's something I played a lot, and this has been like an active process on my side to try to think in some other way. A few years ago, I made this game called Blip Loop. It's pretty minimalistic puzzle game, no text or anything, but at the end, I added this little secret level, which is like some sort of like a Tetris, kind of, without the tetrominos, like falling over, and you just need to survive for a long time. This is the worst part of the game. It's optional. It's kind of a secret. It doesn't have to be, it's not related to the puzzles. It's completely unnecessary. It's wonky. It's not really fun. It's also like something that I'm very proud I made, and something I would include again, just because I like that those rough edges. With Sushi for Robots, my last commercial game, which came out in consoles 2 weeks ago, you have this automation puzzle game, but then the robots talk and they have some narrative and they talk about silly stuff like recommending a TV show that you think it's horrible, or sometimes they play D&D. They do goofy stuff, and if you complete all the levels in the game, you get to see these like there are like more pictures, but the robots going around Madrid, and like we hired somebody to do the figurines, and some friends came over and helped me with the photographs. And again, this is just something to trying to break out of the mold, try to make something weirder. And it's something that I need to push myself to do because it doesn't come naturally to me, but I think it's something that you can also like train and practice. This is like a concept for a game that I don't know if I'll ever make. Sometimes I play with prototypes when I'm busy with other projects. And one thing I made is like the mechanics of this game, I'm not gonna go into that. I'm also trying to make something weirder there, but I was making a draft for the interface. And this is what comes naturally to me. This is like first attempt, which is fairly traditional. And what I do is I come back to it every day and try to iterate like something to make it weirder. So maybe I take the panel there, right, and say like, oh, instead of being this square, it's gonna be this window or whatever. And then I look at the grid and say, what, instead of being like a map, I'm gonna make this hexagonal and crazy lines all over the place. So it's something that I like to do. I think it's fun. It doesn't come naturally to me, so I'm slowly doing exercises to go more in that direction. And that is not better or worse than what others are doing. It's just like a creative philosophy direction. I just think it's very fun. That's why I do it. I like the games that do this, and I found myself enjoying more development when I'm trying to do these things. So I'm just trying to encourage you to, when you're thinking about doing your minimalistic puzzle game, maybe try to push the weirdness a bit further, have fun, and leave the rough edges. You don't have to trim everything. Leave some of the rough parts because it's also fun if it's a bit uneven, at least, I don't know, for myself. And that's it. Thanks for listening to this like a short talk about Nicolas Cage and puzzle games.
Thank you so much, Luis. Loved it. Because we need to get to another lightning talk, I'll probably only ask one quick question, which is, what's your favorite Nicolas Cage movie?
Oh, wow.
Okay, I said it was a quick question, maybe not.
Yeah, no, like, I know, these last days, I'm mostly thinking about Long Legs, which is a horror movie, which is like the villain. I just rewatched it. I think it's very neat, but I love a bunch of his movies.
There we go. Great recommendation. Also, it's funny, Squishcraft was mentioned in chat, and then 2 minutes later, you mentioned Squishcraft in the slides. It's great. All right, cool. So if anybody does have any other questions, please head to the Discord, thinkygames.com/Discord, and you can ask them there. There is a thread where you can ask those questions, and Luis will be around to answer them. All right, thank you, Luis. We'll head over to the next talk now. Thank you.